He was a starving boy in a cold London workhouse. He conquered the globe with nothing but a cane and a funny walk. But the country that made him a star eventually banished him. This is the unbelievable true story of Charlie Chaplin. Welcome to Learning English with Rassa.
Let's go back to the 1890s. Charlie's early life was, well, it was filled with severe hardship. His father chose to abandon the family when Charlie was just a baby, leaving his mother, Hannah, struggling to survive. She was a stage singer, but she really didn't earn much, and as they moved from house to house, they often had no food at all.
When Hannah tragically lost her mind to illness, Charlie and his brother were completely alone. They were sent away to a grim Victorian workhouse. It was a dark, cold place where poor children scrubbed floors and slept on hard beds. But it was actually here, sitting among other sad, hungry boys, that Charlie discovered a magical gift. He realized he could make them laugh.
At age 14, Charlie found his way onto a real theater stage. He learned to speak without words, using only his face and his body. The audience absolutely loved him. This success led to a thrilling journey across the ocean to America in 1913. Working with a comedy film studio under a man named Max Sennett, his career truly began to flourish in this new land of opportunity.
One day, looking for a funny costume, Charlie stepped into a cluttered dressing room. He grabbed pants that were comically too big, a jacket that was much too small, a pair of oversized shoes, a tiny hat, and a little mustache. In that magical, improvised moment, the Tramp was born, a poor but proud character with a brave, good heart who always tried to do the right thing.
The Tramp brought Charlie unprecedented global fame. He became the most famous movie star on Earth, even starting his own studio to maintain total control over his art. He began using his massive platform to send deeper messages, like in his masterpiece Modern Times, where he brilliantly criticized how factories in the machine age were treating human beings.
Now, despite his incredible fame, his personal life was highly controversial. The public constantly debated his choices. He had a series of marriages to very young women, which caused absolute public outrage at the time. While his divorce from actress Paulette Goddard was amicable and peaceful, his other relationships ended bitterly in court. Finally, at age 54, he found lasting happiness with 18-year-old Una O'Neill.
But as the Cold War began, the United States grew deeply afraid of communism. The FBI, led by J. Edgar Hoover, started watching Charlie closely. They literally compiled thousands of pages of documents on him. They investigated his supposedly subversive political views, believing his movies and speeches were a hidden threat to the established American government.
In 1952, Charlie and his family boarded a majestic ocean liner to visit London for the premiere of his film Limelight. While he was at sea, the United States government shocked the world. They revoked his re-entry permit. They forced him into exile, barring the great Charlie Chaplin from returning to the country he had called home for nearly 40 years. With nowhere else to go, he settled in a serene villa in Vevey, Switzerland. At first, he felt deeply bitter about how America had treated him, and this dark resentment showed in his next few European films. But over time, the quiet beauty of Switzerland and a peaceful life with Una and their 8 children really softened his heart.
20 years later, in 1972, Charlie made a triumphant return to America. He was invited back to accept an honorary Oscar for his work in cinema. When he walked onto that glittering stage, the crowd cheered for 12 minutes straight. It proved that his monumental artistic legacy outlasted the political paranoia of his time.
Okay, let's dive into this and transition into our vocabulary masterclass to break down the English we just heard. Our first word is hardship. Hardship. The American pronunciation stresses the first syllable, hardship. Hardship means severe suffering or a very difficult condition of life, like extreme poverty. It comes from the Old English word hard, meaning firm or severe, combined with ship, which shows a state of being. Now, what's the difference between a hardship and a simple difficulty? Well, forgetting your umbrella is a difficulty. Not having money for food for a month is a hardship. It implies something much more severe and enduring.
Listen to how we use it in context. Sentence 1. Growing up in the London slums, the young boy faced incredible hardship every day. Sentence 2. The economic hardship of the 1930s meant many families lost their homes. Sentence 3. Despite the hardship of her illness, she never lost her ability to smile. Notice how hardship functions here as a noun. In Charlie's story, it perfectly describes the intense, ongoing suffering of his impoverished childhood.
Our next word is abandon. Abandon.
Done. It means to leave someone or something completely, usually forever, especially when you have a responsibility to stay. It originates from Old French, meaning to put under someone else's control. The crucial distinction here is between abandon and simply leave. You might leave a party early, but if you abandon your family, you are breaking a deep duty or promise to care for them.
Notice the weight of the word in these situations. Number 1, Charlie's father made the selfish choice to abandon his wife and children. Number 2, the sailors were forced to abandon the sinking ship to save their lives. Number 3, please do not abandon your dreams just because things get difficult. In these sentences, abandon shows a devastating or permanent choice to walk away, illustrating the father's destructive choice to leave the Chaplin family.
Moving on, we have the word flourish. Flourish, F-L-U-R-I-S. To flourish means to grow or develop in a healthy, successful, and vigorous way. It comes from the Latin word florere, which means to bloom, like a flower. While the word succeed just means achieving a basic goal, flourish gives us a vibrant visual image of expanding, energetic growth.
Let's look at the first example. Once he moved to Hollywood, his comedy career truly began to flourish. Second, plants will flourish if they get enough sunlight and clean water. Third, the small business managed to flourish even during difficult economic times. See how flourish is used to show active, positive growth? It perfectly captures Chaplin's rapidly expanding creative career once he arrived in America.
Next up is a great relationship word, amicable. Amicable, A-M-I-C-U-B-L-E. It describes a relationship or an interaction that is friendly and peaceful, without arguments. It comes from the Latin amicus, meaning friend. The nuance here is important. An amicable separation is the exact opposite of a bitter, angry divorce. It means both sides agreed to part ways peacefully and respectfully.
How does this sound in everyday English? 1. Despite deciding to divorce, Charlie and Paulette Goddard kept an amicable relationship. 2. The two companies reached an amicable agreement without going to court. 3. We had a very amicable discussion about our different political views. In our narration, amicable highlights the uniquely peaceful nature of his divorce from Paulette Goddard.
Word number 5 is controversial. Controversial. Con, true, v, Herschel. This means causing a lot of intense public disagreement, argument, or debate. Its Latin roots mean turned in opposite directions. If something is merely unpopular, people just don't like it. But if it is controversial, it splits the public into angry, opposing sides who argue fiercely about it. See how it sparks debate here. First, his decision to marry an 18-year-old was highly controversial in the press. Second, the new law proved so controversial that thousands of people protested in the streets. Third, she wrote a controversial book that challenged everything we know about history. Notice how the word sets a scene of conflict? Chaplin's political views and marriages perfectly fit this definition of controversial. Next up is subversive. 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 It means secretly trying to ruin or destroy an established system, like a government or a set of beliefs. It comes from Latin, meaning to turn from beneath. You can be rebellious just by breaking your parents' rules, but being subversive implies a serious, organized threat to establish power and societal structures.
Example 1. The FBI believed that Charlie's funny movies were a subversive threat to America. 2. The group published a subversive magazine designed to anger the king. 3. He was arrested for sharing subversive ideas with the factory workers. In our story, Subversive explains exactly why the government feared him. They labeled his satirical art as a dangerous attempt to ruin the nation.
Our seventh word is exile. Exile. E-G-X-I-L-E. This means the condition of being forced to leave your own country and forbidden from returning, usually for political reasons. It stems from the Latin exilium, meaning banishment. While a vacation or a move is a choice, exile carries the profound legal and emotional weight of being locked out of your own home against your will.
Let's apply this. Sentence 1. The government forced the famous actor into exile, taking away his right to return. Sentence 2. After the revolution, the king lived the rest of his life in exile in France. Sentence 3. He wrote his saddest poetry during his long exile from his homeland. We use exile here to narrate the suddenness and tragedy of Chaplin being barred from the United States. Next is bitter. Bitter. B-I-T-T-E-R. In this context, it describes a feeling of deep, lingering anger and resentment because you feel you have been treated unfairly.
It comes from Old English, originally referring to a harsh taste. The distinction is that anger can last for just a minute, but feeling bitter is a slow, cold resentment that stays in your heart for a very long time.
Listen to the emotion in these sentences. First, for many years he felt bitter about the way the press had treated him. Second, she cried bitter tears after losing the championship match. Third, a bitter argument divided the two best friends for over a decade. Notice how bitter explores emotional depth? Chaplin's bitter feelings toward America directly influenced the dark, sarcastic tone of his later European films.
Word number 9 is triumphant. Triumphant. Tri-U-M-phant. It means having achieved a great victory or success, or feeling incredibly happy and proud because of it. It originates from the Latin triumphus, a celebration of a winning general. Winning a small game makes you happy, but returning after 20 years to a standing ovation makes you triumphant. It connects to a massive, hard-fought victory.
Imagine the feeling in these moments. 1. In 1972, Charlie made a triumphant return to the Academy Awards stage. 2. The team was triumphant after winning the hardest game of the season. 3. She gave a triumphant smile as she crossed the finish line first. Using triumphant paints a beautiful picture of his massive victory over past struggles when he finally received the honor he deserved.
Our final masterclass word is legacy. Legacy. L-E-G-U-C. A legacy is something important that is handed down from the past or the lasting impact and gifts a person leaves to the world after they are gone. It comes from Latin, legatus, meaning a person sent on a mission. While a memory is just a thought in your head, a legacy is a monumental contribution that actively changes future generations. To finish our masterclass, let's look at these. First, the character of the Tramp remains Charlie Chaplin's greatest legacy to the world of cinema. Second, the scientist's legacy is a new vaccine that continues to save millions of lives. Third, he wanted to build a public hospital as a lasting legacy for his hometown. In narration, legacy cements the idea that Chaplin's brilliant art completely outlasted the politicians who chased him away.
Now let's briefly recap our words to lock them in your memory. We began with the severe hardship of a young boy in London completely abandoned by his father. Yet, against all odds, his comedy career began to flourish with massive growth, and he maintained amicable, friendly relationships even in difficult situations like his divorce. As he grew more famous, his personal and political life became highly controversial, sparking intense public debate. The government feared he was a subversive threat, trying to ruin the system. This paranoia led to his tragic exile, leaving him with deep, lingering bitter feelings toward his adopted country.
But you know, the story doesn't end in sadness. He made a triumphant, victorious return to the United States to receive an Oscar, proving that his immortal legacy, the lasting gift of his art, would inspire people forever.
This brings us to a fantastic B2 English idiom that perfectly describes Charlie's life, rags to riches. Literally, rags are old, torn pieces of cloth that poor people wear, and riches means immense wealth. Metaphorically, rags to riches describes a situation in which a person rises from extreme poverty to become incredibly wealthy and successful.
This idiom originated in classic fairy tales and American literature, but Charlie's journey from a starving workhouse boy in torn clothes to earning thousands of dollars a week in Hollywood is the ultimate rags to riches story. You might say her life is a true rags to riches tale. Now, here's a short learner challenge for you. Can you think of another famous person, maybe an athlete or a singer, who has a famous rags to riches story? Try to build a sentence about them in your head right now.
Before we finish this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought-provoking question to practice your English. Does an artist's brilliant legacy excuse their controversial personal life? Can we separate the beautiful art from the flawed human being who created it? Think about this debate and try to express your opinion in English.
If you want to keep practicing your English and discussing fascinating stories like this one, join our community on Telegram at Fluent Mind. Thank you for exploring this amazing life with us today. Keep asking questions, keep studying, and I will see you next time.